Bajaj Auto has been attributed to massify performance motorcycles, and this value for money performance motorcycles cred comes to it from one brand Pulsar. I'm Varun Painter, you are watching PowerDrift, and today we'll be testing the all-new Bajaj Pulsar NS 160. But before we begin that, allow me a quick couple of minutes to explain what the NS 160 really is. Well, we all remember this. This is the Pulsar 180, or what we usually call as the classic Pulsar. When it was originally launched, it was a bold new statement, an Indian manufacturer breaching the 150cc mark in a market that was vastly dominated by fuel efficiency obsessed 100cc 4-stroke machines. On the other hand, the Pulsar 150 was a sweet compromise. Not as big as the Pulsar 180, but still an update for everyone who were looking at the brawn of the 180 with decent fuel efficiency and decent performance. Believe it or not, the Pulsar 150 is still the market segment leader, with sales close to 35,000 units per month. So, why change a successful formula? Well, ironically, brand Pulsar is about to mature, to be about 18 years old. So perhaps it's only obvious that its most selling Pulsar dons a more recent, more relevant form. Given that context, the Bajaj Pulsar NS 200 is a more powerful elder sibling, while the NS 160 dons a similar form factor, same brawn, aimed at an entry towards sportier riding. The sharp, edgy design carries the familiar Pulsar naked sport styling, including the same exact perimeter frame that we loved on the NS. The 160 looks similar to the NS 200 from a distance. It's only when you go closer would you notice the kicker, the smaller swing arm, smaller tires and the 160 badging. However, the party trick of the NS 160 is this all-new engine. And it is the only air-cooled engine in this class that sports an oil cooler, which allows it to churn a class-leading power output of 15.5 PS at 8,500 RPM and a torque output of 14.6 Newton meters at 6,500 RPM. And all of this without having to compromise on the refinement quotient. The new cylinder, pistons and the secondary shaft do a decent job in making this ride livably refined. On paper, the NS 160 has the smallest disc size at 240mm, but it is pretty adequate for this tire chassis suspension setup. Now mind you, the Bajaj NS 160 when sold in international markets is sold with the rear disc variant. So if the market in India demands for such a situation, then we know that Bajaj have it ready. Oof, that was quite some ride in the city. Time to take a breather and let's get down to business. Now the low and the mid-range run on the NS 160 is quite punchy, but if you're ever caught up in an overtaking situation, ringing the throttle will remind you that this is a commute-friendly 160cc motorcycle. While the refinement is not as polished as the FZ or the Gixxer, it is certainly a livable first-generation engine. I love the feedback from the perimeter frame, and the NS 160 is the only bike in its segment that gets that frame. I've said this before, but I'll say it again, that this is the same frame that we saw on the NS 200, and that was one of the reasons why the NS 200 handles so well. One way to look at it is that the NS now gets a little more expensive equipment, but another way to look at it is that this now adds a fair amount of weight to the motorcycle. While in motion though, you will not feel the weight, and the suspension is tuned way more for commuting rather than spirited riding. At 805mm of seat height, it is 10mm more than the rest of the category. But at 170mm, it enjoys 10mm more of ground clearance than the rest of the category, which makes going from point A to point B that much easier. So that was the good part. But here are a few things where I think the NS 160 can improve. Firstly, the tires, especially the rear. When you look at it, it seems like the NS 160 is a gym junkie that skips leg day. Had it gotten the same bigger tire that we see on the rest of its competition, it would have completed the brawny looks of the motorcycle. Secondly, the ergonomics. For a bike that has been named Naked Sports, its rider's triangle is a lot more inclined towards the comfortable stance rather than the sweet spot that we saw on the NS200. For someone who is as tall as I am, it required a little more than normal getting used to. Thirdly, brand Pulsar has always been known for bringing something new in its category. However, it is Honda's CBS that shines as a better value proposition when it comes to braking in this category. The baby NS would have been untouchable if it would have gotten the single channel ABS at least. And while we are at it, maybe it makes a lot more sense on the NS200 as well. I mean, I understand that it would have added a bit on the price and the weight, of which the latter is my last point. At 142 kilograms of curb weight, it is 2 kilos heavier than the CBS variant of the Honda Hornet. That combined with the raised saddle height could make it uncomfortable for new riders. So let's summarize it then. At Rs 78,368, it is just 1,000 rupees more expensive than the Suzuki Gixxer and the Apache RTR 160, but significantly cheaper than the Honda Hornet and the Yamaha FZ. Given everything that the NS 160 does right, if you're planning to buy the Pulsar 150 or the Pulsar 180, you should definitely be taking a test ride of the NS 160 instead. It's a lot more engaging. However, if sportiness and fun is your thing, then I still think the Apache RTR 160 has the edge. If safety is your priority, then I think the Honda Hornet takes the cake. The Gixxer, for me, is the most well-rounded package in the market, but Bajaj has a huge advantage when it comes to its widespread dealership network and economical spare parts. That's it for today then. Remember to check out our official merchandise by clicking right here. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, what are you waiting for? Do it now. I'm Varun Painter and I will see you soon.